Hello VC, this video is in response to Brandon's 6,000 subscribers contest. Congratulations on that many subscribers. That's a pretty big achievement for a vinyl community series. So we'll get right into it with your contests. And your contest consists of a number of questions, and the first question is, name a song that sort of scares the crap out of you. Well, I had to go into the record collection and see what I could find. So the first one I checked out, see if there's anything scary here, was this one. But unfortunately, not too scary. A bit funny. Definitely nothing scary there. So I thought, well, I better dig deeper and try and find something that looks really scary. And I found this one in my collection. And you know what? It's not scary. Kind of nuts, really. So no, nothing there I can use. So I thought, well, now it's time to pull out the big guns. Something you can't miss. So, get a scary record with the big guns. You know what? That one wasn't too scary either. In fact, it mostly had a lot of sexual innuendo in it. Like the dead wax on side one, turning over, darling. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So finally, I found one. And with all vinyl contests, I always break the rules. Because your first question was, name a song that scares the crap out of you. And in my case, it's an instrumental. And that will be The Tales of Mystery and Imagination, Edgar Allan Poe, and specifically The Fall of the House of Usher. This is the one with the booklet inside. A little page on every one of Edgar Allan Poe's works on this album. I find that song, or instrumental, the Fall of the House of Usher, really good, very good atmosphere in it. You hear the wind, the rain, the thunder, the knock at the door. Excellent song for that sort of creating that mood of eeriness, scariness. And so that's my pick for a creepy song. Question 2. What stresses you out most with record collecting? And that's easy for me. I buy records from all over the world. Some of the countries I've obtained records from include Greece, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Germany, UK, Venezuela, Japan, of course the United States. And what concerns me most is these records having to travel a very long distance, going to be handled by many people, and I'm afraid that sometimes they may get lost in the mail. And so that is my biggest worry, especially if you obtain a record that you've been trying for a very long time to obtain. They're hurry up and arrive, hurry up and arrive. Now I gotta admit that in 14-15 years of purchasing records online, only 2 items have gone missing. One was a record purchase, I guess it was around 10 years ago. I purchased it from an individual in New Jersey who posted the album in the local post office, and the very next day that great big hurricane hit the eastern seaboard and New Jersey got the brunt of it. So I expect that my record there just got washed out into the ocean. And just this past Christmas I ordered a CD from the UK and only realized 4 months later it had never showed up. I had completely forgotten about it. And by the time 4 months passed, too late. Just an example, the last record to arrived 2 days ago. I don't know if you can see, came from Cyprus, out there in the Mediterranean. This record came from Cyprus. And the record in this package is the mother of all holy grails. We'll show it in a later video. Okay, so now on to question 3. 3 songs or albums that played a significant part in a major event in your life. Well, I had to think hard about that. I came to the realization there have been no major events in my life. Of course, I was born, that's a major event, but I can't recall any music in the delivery room. So, can't count that. I caught a fish once, but there was no music at the time. There was a lot of screaming. Don't know if that was the fish or me, but can't count that. So I really had to dig deep and, well, not major events, but maybe things that I remember. So, first one. Glenn Miller, In the Mood. So that song was playing at a wedding I attended, and it was playing at the moment that I met somebody. And I hate weddings. I'd rather have a muscle cramp than have to go to a wedding. Anyway, that's enough on that one. So second one, the very first time I left home. I left home when I was 19 years old, and it wasn't across town, it was across country, so it was definitely going to be a one-way trip. And when I arrived at my new digs, one of the songs that I kept hearing at that location was by the Yardbirds. And so every time I hear Yardbird songs, I think of the very first time that I left home for good. So, third event. So this one, I'll tell you a little bit of a story then. For anyone who watched my video on 10 concerts, 10 records, I mentioned the Ontario Place Forum, which was the round stage that revolved, and around the stage was a seating area. Beyond the seating area was a grass area where people could sit. So I was attending to one of those concerts back very early 80s. I went with a large group of friends. We were sitting in the grass area, and it was about 5 to 10 minutes before the concert was starting, and this couple walked in front of me, and they were looking for a place to sit down. And to my right, the area was empty, and they were looking at that. And the first thing that caught my attention was the guy. His arms were bigger than my legs. He had muscles on top of muscles. God, if you put him next to a brick shit house, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart. I've never seen a guy that big. The other thing that caught my attention is between the guy and the girl, there was no interaction whatsoever. They never spoke, they never looked at each other, nothing. But they sat down beside me. So the woman was sitting right beside me, maybe 3 feet away, and the guy was on the other side of her. So I looked at her just first because I was staring at the guy, mostly going, wow, I didn't think the human body had that many muscles. As soon as I looked at her, I went, holy cow, is that who I think it is? Can't be. So I elbowed the girl next to me who was in my group, and I said, look over there. Is that who I think it is? She looked over, she looks back at me, and simply says, go for it. What? Go for what? Here we've got what appears to be, to me, international supermodel and actress. So right at that instant, the concert started. So everybody is into the music and all that. So during the whole concert, I'm staring at this woman beside me. And I'm sure she knew I was staring at her, but she just focused on the stage. During the whole concert, she never once spoke to or talked to the man that was beside her. And I'm going, man, I don't know. I think it's her. So finally, before I know it, the concert is wrapping up. The band is doing their final encore tune. Everybody gets on their feet. They're jumping around and dancing. So I'm on my feet. So really I'm not focused on the stage for probably the first time all night. Next thing I know, a hand's on my shoulders. And then somebody talking into my ear. What? And it's so loud, the music, I can't hear what's being said. And I turned, and it's the woman who's been standing beside me all night. She's saying something to me, and I can't hear a word. And I'm sort of saying back to her, I can't hear you. But at that point, she turned and walked away with Brickhouse following her. And so I said, God, I don't know. The next day, in the Toronto Star, there was a picture of her. And it was who I thought it was. She was in town. I can't remember if she was promoting her new movie or shooting a movie in town. But it was her. And I think people didn't recognize her because her hair was completely different from what it normally was in publicity shots and all that. She looked a bit different. But when you're that close to her, you couldn't mistake who it was. And so that was pretty eventful to sit next to her. Oh, by the way, geez, I almost forgot to tell you. The band that was playing was Chic. Oh, that was at the Ontario Place Forum. Okay then, so show a few songs at places where you've been. That's the next question. Well, let's start with this one. California Dreaming. And of course, while in California, San Francisco Nights. I saw lots of sea lions when I was in California, especially in Monterey. I guess that could have been counted as a major event in my life, but there was no music, so oh well. So, another place, Mexican radio, Walla Voodoo, Mexico. I was staying at a resort on the Pacific side, way back. The place was like half out in the jungle. And while staying there, there's military guys all over the place carrying guns, carrying their rifles. And I asked somebody who worked at the resort, why are there so many military people around here? And they said, oh, that's because there's someone from the government staying here. And I thought, oh, you guys dislike your politicians just as much as we dislike ours. So that's that one. So let me just scroll down here on, let's see, your next question is, talk to two people and ask them about bands that they like. And these two people are people that you've never discussed music with. So I have two co-workers that I work with, and we're constantly exchanging emails all the time about movies or TV shows that we watched on Netflix, and constantly discussing movies. And I realized never, not once, we ever talked about music. And I didn't even know if they listened to music or not. So I asked each of them what their three favorite bands were. And I wanted to specify it couldn't be their husband's favorites, and it couldn't be their kids' favorite, because they both have young kids around, 8, 9 years old. And so the first lady responded that her three favorites were the Rolling Stones, U2, and Tragically Hip. And so to me, I interpret that as a person who not really deep into music and is sort of listening to the big stars, sort of. And that didn't surprise me. But the answer from the second lady did. She said her favorite three were Plain White T's, Chainsmokers, and later Fleetwood Mac, not the early Fleetwood Mac. And I had to admit that Plain White T's, I never even heard of them. I had heard of the Chainsmokers, but I was not familiar with their music. So, and then she went on to say she liked a lot of individual artists too, international artists that I had not heard, like a young woman from Scotland. She was also into classical, like Mozart, and a few others. And she also liked Milk and Bone. I'm not familiar with them. So that surprised me a bit, that individual who never spoke to me about music. She seemed to be pretty deep into music. So those are my answers to your questions. Now you had a bonus question, which is a tour, a room tour. I figure normally I don't do tours, but hey, it's you, maybe I'll do a tour for you. What I wanted to do was a tour of my backyard deck with all my flowers, because for the previous few years I couldn't plant flowers because the rabbits would eat them all. But late last summer, a great big giant coyote and a real mangy looking fox moved into the neighborhood, and they ate all the rabbits. So that's good. Well, it's not good for the rabbits. It's good for me. I could plant flowers again. But you wanted a music room tour. So I thought, well, all right, I'll have to show you some music equipment instead of my flowers. I'm not going to show you this system that's behind me. That is my main system that's right behind me. But I think instead I'll show you the system that's deep in the bowels of my basement. Anybody who's watched my Vinyl Purgatory video will know about that. That's where all the records I don't listen to anymore are shipped down to, deep into my basement. And I had a little sound system down there, which I'll show you that one instead. So what we'll do is we'll get out our magic wand. No, you guys are saying it's a ruler. No, it's really a magic wand. And what we'll do is we'll wave our magic wand, we'll tap our heels 3 times, and we'll keep saying over and over, there's no place like the bowels of my basement. There's no place like the bowels of my basement. There's no place like the bowels of my basement. So here we are, deep in the bowels of my basement, aka Vinyl Purgatory. It's where no Anne Murray or Ray Conniff album has ever escaped. So let's do that tour of the, some people call it vintage. I like to just call it old crap. Vintage audio equipment, aka old crap equipment. Just one quick thing to point out. In the Vinyl Purgatory video, Vinyl Douche made a comment, and he said, that room sure could use a bar. And I said, yeah, there is a bar there. But I was standing at the bar, and that's why you couldn't see it. So there, Vinyl Douche, if you're watching this video, there's the bar. There's where I was standing when I made that Vinyl Purgatory video. Well, by the way, this bear does serve a purpose. He's just not there for decoration. He holds the bridge and cues when we're playing. So, first thing we'll do is, got just little speakers here. These are mission speakers, 2-way speakers. I do have bigger vintage or crap speakers, but I don't really have the room down here to put them. Right here, this is Kenwood, I think KD 500 turntable. The bass on that thing, which I think is acrylic, is weighs 35 pounds. I don't know why, the reason to make that so heavy. On the arm right now is a Denon cartridge, and there's also a Shure Type 4 cartridge sitting over there as well. This turntable seems to be a bit of a collector item. I've seen a lot of people bidding up a lot of money for that one. Just below here is an NAD amp, which I bought, must have been 30 years ago. At the time I bought it, because everybody's going, oh, NAD is great, gotta buy it, it's great. And having bought equipment since then, in my opinion, NAD is crap. Very poor sound staging, very two-dimensional sound. So that's my review for all you audiophiles out there. I'm not too keen on NAD anymore. Just over there is a Blu-ray player. Down here there's actually two tuners. Oh, let me back up a bit. One of them is actually pretty good, and that's the Musical Fidelity A3 tuner. Musical Fidelity is some pretty good equipment, and it should be good because it's absolutely freaking expensive. That tuner's got to be at least 30 years old. Above it is an Akai tuner, which was part of a system I owned about 30 years ago. And then just right over here we have a Sony 5-disc player, nothing special there. Just it does the job. And so that's pretty much it for my vintage, or my, what do you call it, old crap stereo equipment. One other thing, right there, that little potbelly stove, just to let you guys know, that came off a schooner off the coast of Newfoundland. That's probably about 100 years ago. The purpose of that was keeping the lower decks warm, and a crack developed in the stove, so obviously it became a fire hazard. They had to take it off the schooner. It sat in a shed, one of my great uncle's, for about 40 years. And then my mother came by in the 60s and said, I want that. And she grabbed it and brought it back here, and I painted it up. And we just have it as a sort of, what do you call it, decoration now. So that's it. That's my room tour for my vintage stereo equipment. Once again, congratulations on your 6,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.